it in my calendar.
Okay.
Like every time we meet, I put the number in the calendar.
Okay.
But it's good for us both to kind of, because, be times
Yeah.
I'm like, it says in my calendar, this is the same session 3 times in a row. What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay, so how you doing?
I want to say this. When I emailed you the other day, and what you emailed me back, you told me, just to relax. And I went into kind of a quiet space, and I've been trying to do it even before I get out of bed in the morning. And you said, let those feelings come over me of, not picturing myself, but surrendering to whatever the body's going to be. Just let it be, and don't try to fight it, because if you fight it, I attach emotion to it.
Yeah, and that's all comes across. Fighting it could come across as feeling sorry for yourself, right? And that's like, for me, that was like my ego's last ditch effort to keep what I was doing, was to feel sorry that I had to let go of that thinnerness, and I had to be in a body that was inferior, to feel sorry for myself, right? Yeah. So I know for me, that was the last thing I had to do before I said, I'm doing this willfully because I don't want to suffer. So I'm getting something out of the willfulness to be overweight. And if it means that I am free from this hell and torture, if it means that I have to be overweight or even morbidly obese, when I put myself in that physicality, it was like a no-brainer. I would much rather be obese. That's nothing compared to this psychological and soul torture, and so it had to be a rational, willful decision on my part. I couldn't afford to, and that was the other thing that I also remember being aware of, was I couldn't afford to not face it fully, meaning I can't keep my eyes shut. I can't avoid the fatness. I have to allow it to happen as if I'm welcoming it, as if I'm like asking the rapist to show up in my house, and that I can handle it, and that I'm not afraid of it anymore. Even though I'm physically having these intense sensations, you're gonna get murdered. You will never exist again. You're going to dissipate into nothingness. The physical manifestation was sure terror, like incredibly terror. I actually allowed it to happen. Now, yeah, so when I suggest, I'm like, just sit in it, the key to getting into that terror, and what I'm directing you to is into terror, is to not feel sorry for yourself. That's a self-defense, right? So it's a form of avoidance, a form of like, I don't want to do it. I'm being like,
Even not so much feel sorry for yourself. If anything, I'm mad at myself.
Okay,
I'm like,
I can.
Damn, but stick to it. Damn, I'm getting fat because I didn't have the willpower. It's like I get mad at myself.
Yeah, well, that's still getting mad at the same thing. What you're saying is, I'm angry because I should be doing better, which in reality is like, but that's holding yourself to a higher expectation, right? So you're not giving yourself grace. So the directive I'm giving you is clearly like, and when you're ready, when you're ready, this is what you'll need to do. You might not be ready. You might not be ready.
Right.
You might need to struggle a little bit more. You might need to suffer a little bit more for you to, it's almost like a germination period. It's like a period of, I'll use germination. It's like you have to sit and be uncomfortable before you can bloom. You know what I'm saying? And you're expecting to bloom, but you haven't sat in discomfort long enough. You really need to be uncomfortable more, more suffering. Maybe you need more suffering. So sometimes when people are struggling to really accept it, I suggest you might want to diet then, because that's the only alternative to remove the cognitive dissonance. Because if you feel sorry for yourself, that means you really don't want, it's the game between wanting recovery and wanting your thinness. You know, there's something you get out of the thinness you don't want to give up.
I'll say this, and you tell me where you think I'm at. I'm not happy about getting bigger.
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting. No one has ever told you should be happy about getting bigger. It just has to be a better,
right. Or yeah, I'm just blurting out like what's in my mind right now. I'm just flirting.
Yeah.
I'm happy with feeling bigger and being bigger, but there's no part of me, not even 1 ounce is left in me, not even one crumb, one cell inside of me that is willing to or wants to restrict and do a good food bad. It's gone. There's not a little thing in me that says, you know what, maybe if I do keto one more time and go for one more month, it's going to come together. Yeah. I know one thing. It's out of me. Like there's nothing in me. I'm willing to take the roles. Like I'm willing to, you know, if that's what's meant to be, I accept that full-heartedly. Whatever's going to be is going to be. Mm-hmm. Does it make me, I'll say this, more than anything, does it make me feel uncomfortable to go out in public like I look now? Yeah. Okay, so that's the direction you need to spend. That's where you need to put your energy. Stop devoting any energy to the dieting. Of course, we kind of concluded this with your last session. You're over the actual dieting aspect. Right. That's like when you said maybe sometimes.
Well, it's
the go to. I think I can't. Like if you told me to do that, you'd be saying to me, "Go into hell for a couple days," and I'm like, I'm never going back there. Okay,
so what you need to connect the dots to is that if you're still holding yourself to the thinner body, it makes no sense if you're completely quitting the manipulative end of the body. Does it make sense to continue to hold a body that you had to manipulate to get?
Yeah.
You gotta witness that. I did too. I mean, what you're doing is you don't want the restrictions and the manipulations and what it takes. You don't want what it takes anymore. But you want what it takes gets you. That's so you could look at who wants to starve themselves, who literally likes and wants to starve themselves. Nobody. What people like is what it gets them. It's what they get out of it.
What I want to not. This is where my mind is right now. Inside my head is okay. The first couple weeks and those last few days, I really had to wrap my head around with. You know, I'm not used to the feeling I'm feeling inside. I'm not used to how sluggish I feel. I'm not used to, you know, maybe I'm holding flu. I'm not used to any of that. So I had to wrap my head around that. Now I'm wrapping my head around, I don't even want to try to figure it out. I don't even want to look in the mirror one more time and say, am I looking puffier today or not as puffy? I just now want to move forward with listening to my body as far as if I'm hungry and if I'm not hungry, if I want to go for a walk, if I want to go to the mall, if I want to read a book. I want to start listening to my inside.
Yeah, I get that.
Me be me for the first time.
I love that. That's our goal. That's the goal, right? So your desire and what you're yearning for is the target.
And you know what I feel like right now? If I could put it into things, I feel like somebody dropped me on an island, and I'm standing there, and I don't know what direction to turn. I'm lost. I'm standing there going.
Doesn't sound like it to me. You sound pretty direct right now to me. Like you kind of know what you want. So
I just knew I wanted to leave that country, and somebody dropped me off in a new country, and I'm like, okay, I've never been here before because I've never been at this spot in my life.
Yeah. So is it better than the country you were before? Is it something you can just accept as it is? Or do we have to know all about it before we accept it?
Oh no, I don't. I think part of it is experiment, like not experimenting, but discovering who I am.
I would totally agree with you. Instead of creating who you think you are with ideologies and parameters that are handed to you. It's like going back into what is real versus what has been completely facade, right?
Yes.
Using characters that people portrayed for you that you said, I want to be that character. Yeah. And so that's why I'm like, do you really want to know the island, or do you just want to accept it? Is it, can you just accept the island that you're on? Rather than having to have a parameter around, is it right, is it wrong, what do I need to know about it?
You know what I think I struggle with? I think I struggle with self-confidence in myself, in my true self, who I truly am. I think, if I said to my daughter, look I can tell you life's going to be great for you if you listen to your body. Your body will tell you when you're hungry to eat, when you're full to stop. I can tell you, or go for a walk, or go do this. Your body will always direct. It'll never misguide you. But I don't believe that my body will do that for me.
Well, that's because you are holding it to some parameter and expectation. So this comes down to what you were talking about before. Okay, what you just said a little bit ago, which is, I'm ready to just move on. I don't want to have to look in the mirror and question, am I puffy or not? Problem is you care. Do you really want to keep on caring about if you're puffy or not?
No, I don't want to care if I'm puffy or not. I want to just care that I'm good care of myself.
So what do you mean? Do you really want to care if you're puffy or not? Do you really want to care? Do you really want to care if the body is managing things on its own? Do you really want to care about how it's doing it? Do you really know how to care for the human body? Do you really know?
No.
So then why are you sitting there creating parameters about what it should and shouldn't do for you? Right? I'm trying to connect dots for you. Why then, if you don't know what it really needs, why are you setting parameters about what you expect from it? So you have to, and so this is where maybe we need you to go. You need to accept it ahead of time. Remember when you had that aha moment around why, if I'm done manipulating my body and I'm going to eat to hunger and I'm going to do the best I can there, do I really need to monitor the weight aspect of it? Do I need to monitor the outcome? No, because the outcome is going to be what it is. So that you have to accept what that outcome is. You have to accept it. If you want freedom from having to monitor it, you have to allow it to be what it is and actually want it to be whatever it is so that you can get freedom from having to monitor it.
Yeah.
So you're still struggling with accepting what it is. You're done. You've quit. You do not want to have to keep on managing this, but you still hold the body to an outcome that you want, right? So therefore you have to manage it. So we could look at why you actually want the thinner body, and it has a lot to do with being insecure, not knowing who you are.
Yeah.
And so do you see how that in order for you to recover, you have to accept that? I have to accept being insecure and figuring out who I am. I have to accept feeling exposed in public. I have to accept all those things that make me uncomfortable. I have to go into that discomfort.
Like yesterday.
Your only option is pain or suffering. You only have two options here. There is no amazing, fantastic, it was easy. That option doesn't exist for you in the moment. In your current state of being, all you are perceiving is pain or suffering. I'm directing you into pain. So you have to accept the psychological, the emotional pain of, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel vulnerable. I feel people are judging me. You have to go that direction.
Yeah.
I have to accept that if I'm giving myself the grace to figure out how to eat like a normal human being, that I might feel bloated. I have to say yes to everything if I want out. I have to say yes to bloating. I have to say yes to pants being tight. I have to say yes to everything that this is taking me into. If I don't say yes, then why? I should go back into suffering, you know?
I'm not going back.
So you can't, well, you will, eventually you will. And that's what I had to realize too, that if I feel sorry for myself and I'm refusing or denying or distracting or repressing or where I'm going into, eventually I'm going to go back into suffering. Eventually. And you still are suffering. You still are in the state of suffering because you're still looking at, am I puffy or not? You're still thinking about it. And maybe that's what this next step in this process for you is to witness what is the suffering that you really want removed from. Of course, the energy going into dieting, which is just a soul leech of just, right? You're done with that. But you're still in the space of body image and what you want from it that keeps you safe, right? You get something out of the body image, which is why you tolerated the dieting and the exercising and the obsessive compulsiveness for so long. So now we're addressing the actual what you got out of it. And so you have to let that go. It's actually very simple when you see it clearly. So that's where I think you're at. You're just getting into the clarity of, I have to let it go if I truly want freedom from the suffering, which includes being defined by that, feeling bad about it. So this is a common thing. We need to get under why you feel bad about feeling poofy. Why you feel bad about it, right? And
this week, for example, the other day when I woke up and I was extremely swollen, I had probably 8-10 times more than I should have, didn't listen to anything. Normally, I would have hidden. I would have stayed inside. Oh my God, I'm puffy. My eyes are swelled up. My face is swelled up. And I got up and I looked in the mirror and I shook it off. I said, oh well, you ate. Oh well. And I actually went to the grocery store and went and did about my day like I normally would. Where before, I would have drank water for the day, stayed hidden for 3 days, and I thought, who gives a shit?
Yeah. So did you in any way feel you're clearly not holding yourself hostage to it anymore, but do you still have the remnants of feeling bad about it? Do you still have discontent about it? There's something, this isn't right. I don't like it. Is there any of those feelings that still?
I didn't like the feeling. I hated the feeling. I thought, but then I thought, if it means I got to eat pizza, then I guess I'm accepting the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you got to eat pizza, and the question you have to ask yourself, because what you prefaced this with is, I ate way too much. I overate. I didn't listen to my body in any way.
Yeah, right. And I didn't.
Okay, so what was that about?
But I gave myself the grace to say, I said to myself, you know what? You haven't had pizza in probably 3 years. And if I did, it was a corner of a piece. My body, I actually didn't blame my body because I thought, my body probably thought, what the hell is this? What's this coming in? I've never had to digest this.
Well, yeah, you're eating too much. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you're force feeding. You're forcing yourself to eat, and the body's like, oh my God, what the heck's going on here? So you're kind of binging is what that is. So what I need you to do is really question why you need to eat all the pizza right now. Why does it have to be eaten all right this second? Is there a famine coming?
Okay, so, and I thought about that too. I thought about why do I not know? I think my mind has been so preoccupied and so worried about, oh my God, I'm not on the scale, but looking in the mirror going, how bloated am I? Do you think I gained weight? I'm still body checking.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that in the
I mean, that to me is like, I knew when people overeat that way, that is a sign you still feel bad about your weight, which is another indication with body checking.
Right. So I'm done body checking. I don't care.
Okay, but you just said you are body checking.
I was content.
I don't feel the need you change your position in one paragraph. You go, I'm body checking. Well, I don't body check. You're conflicting. Your reality is so conflicted right now. Like, what's the truth? Are you body checking or not?
No, I looked in the mirror when I was puffy. I absolutely looked in the mirror.
So you're body checking. So
I realized that's body checking.
You're body checking. So you are body checking.
Right.
It's not, I'm not body checking. It is, and then I am body. It's like, what are you doing? Just tell the truth. Are you body checking? You need to tell yourself the truth. You're not telling yourself the full truth here. And that's another reason why it's so hard. You're avoiding discomfort, and by suppressing the truth and trying to convince yourself, right, you're using, this would be my assessment right now. Okay. I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I'm getting a basic understanding of where you're at. You're not telling yourself the full truth. You do want recovery, but you're not necessarily telling yourself the full truth of where you're actually at. So you're holding yourself to an idea of what recovery is, but you're nowhere close. You're actually still in the actual suffering of body image, right? And so you're getting the ideal intellectually. You get it intellectually. You're getting it from the logic of the brain. The frontal cortex is getting it. But your emotions are still way down there, nowhere close to it. That's why you're like, I don't want to do that. But I'm clearly doing it. I'm clearly still in that space. We need to talk to the actual emotions of the problem. I don't want to talk to your intellect anymore. It's getting nowhere. I want to talk to the truth of where you're actually at, the truth of it all. I know when you tell me I do not want to diet anymore, that you're telling me the truth. That's the truth. Are you body checking? When you say I'm not body checking, I'm pretty sure you are.
No, I said, I'm not body checking on the scale. But I said, then I realized me looking in the mirror at myself is another form of.
Yeah, so is touching your body. So is touching your abs. So is putting your hands around your waist. So is all of this judgment around bloatedness. That's body checking too. I mean, so you still care about it, right? We've got to get you to focus in on where that is, not what you intellectually know concept. That's recovery to you in this moment is a concept. We got to address the truth of how you feel about what's going on. That feeling you have that is negative, skin crawling, not, it's, there's a feeling under there that's very agitating. It exists. That is projecting into food. That's why you're literally don't give a shit about your hunger, even though you do. So what's probably happening is that agitation is going into that pizza, and it is saying you shouldn't be eating the pizza, that you can only have a few bites of the pizza. That's going to make you feel bloated. And then you go into, fuck it. I don't care. I'm so done dieting. So
oh my God, you nailed that.
Okay, so I just need you to listen and follow my directive at this point. Okay? You're still dieting.
Just a different form.
Yeah, and that's because you're unwilling to accept the body. The only way you are going to actually snap out of this emotionally is if you are willing to gain weight willfully. And it doesn't happen later. That has to happen now. It has to happen ahead of time.
I'm willing to gain weight willfully.
From your heart and soul. Don't just lie to yourself. So just listen to me for a second. Do not lie to yourself anymore. Stop lying to yourself. Go into your heart and ask, am I really okay with that? Am I really okay? Because if you are, I want you to think about this for a second, and I want you to tell me what would change. If from your heart are willing, in humility, because it is a humbling feeling, to be fat in front of the public, in reality, okay? In reality, you're willing to allow the body to become whatever it is. When you're bloated, when you're in public, when people can see, look at what happened to her. I mean, just go into that reality. If you're okay with that, notice how I didn't say happy about it. I just said you got to be okay with it. You have to be willful, humble. What is going to change like this?
Acceptance. I'm human.
What's going to change?
How I feel about myself.
What's going to change with this whole food bullshit?
I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah. So what would happen with your eating pizza?
I wouldn't feel like I need to eat it. I'd be able to listen to my body more.
Yeah, you wouldn't be judging it. You wouldn't be micromanaging it. You wouldn't be tiptoeing around it. And then you wouldn't be saying fuck it and over consuming it. That would be gone.
Yeah, because I think my mind maybe is preoccupied with I better not have too much of it, but I'm going to enjoy it because I deserve it. My mind's doing this that I can't even listen to my body hunger, my hunger scale, because I'm got this subconscious thing going on in my head saying only 2 pizzas because that's enough. And then part of me going, fuck it, and I'll have an extra piece of cake.
You're dieting. Yes. You're still dieting, even though you're like, I'm never going to do that. You're still doing it. You're imposing rules about the pizza.
Actually, I'm self-sabotaging at that point.
It doesn't matter. You can label it whatever you want. It's conscious. You're consciously, you do not want to gain weight. You are avoiding it. You don't want it. You detest it. You are shaming yourself for it. You're avoiding it. You're not willful, and there's no humility in it. So that's why you still have to hold on to these fears of food, which is dieting. Bad. There's a line drawn, and that pizza's on the other side. You're still playing this or that. Bad or good. Shouldn't have. I can only have this much.
Actually, I think though the last couple of weeks since I've been starting this, I don't think I've had one healthy food. I think everything I'm eating are the forbidden ones.
See, the concept of health, even the concept of health is so brainwashing. But, I know what you mean when you say that because I'm in the same culture as you, So this is what I've seen time and time again, that people who want to recover, but they're not willing to change what they're doing at all. So they really don't want to recover. They want what they want, but they don't want the downside of it. So they just live in the downside of it. And it's like,
really, it shouldn't be a downside. It should only be an upside, because if I've got freedom and I'm going to learn to be in tune with my body,
it's 100% freedom. You're correct, but you don't want to give up the thinnerness, so you cannot even have access to the freedom.
Yeah,
you're nowhere close.
I don't know if it's thinnerness or not, or thinnerness. To be honest with you, when I was so strict and micromanaging everything, I didn't allow my body. I don't even know. I honestly don't know if I'll be 200 pounds or 20 pounds. I don't know.
I know.
I've always eaten in secret and then picked here and picked, or binged out. So I don't know what balance is. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I know you don't know.
And I don't even know, I'm sitting here right now, and I had breakfast a couple hours ago, and I'm sitting here about 20 minutes ago, I'm thinking, I don't know if I just, I don't know. I feel funny inside in my hung. I don't know even how to listen to my, I'm playing these mind games. I don't know how to even, it sounds crazy to ask somebody, do you think I'm hungry? It's like, how the hell would somebody else know if I'm hungry?
Well, how are you going to figure this out if you're still holding the body you're in to parameters that are narcissistic and survival oriented?
I don't even have time in my mind for that narcissistic person anymore.
Well, it's still there. So that was your logic talking. Now let me talk to the real thing inside. That you do have time. It's constantly there. It's running the show. That's the truth. That's the truth of what's happening. So the whole, I don't have time for that. Well, that's all you survive. That's all you're doing. So sure, in the ideal concept of recovery, you don't have time for that shit. But the truth is, that's what's running everything. So that's what I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to the intellect anymore. Your intellect clearly is no power here. None. It's useless. Talk to the truth within you. See, this is where things are going to start moving. When you go into the truth of what's under there, you'll notice that everything I'm telling you is right on. You got to go in there and you have to feel and accept, open yourself up to the fatness that you don't want and ask, is it really as bad as what I'm living in, trying to prevent that fatness and seeking what I wanted from the thinness? Is it really that great? What you get out of thinnerness? Is it really that great?
It's torture.
So should you feel sorry for yourself for having to be fatter?
Sure, and then I get a glimpse of satisfaction of, oh, I can fit into this dress with me.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Is that worth it? Do you want to live held hostage to this insanity for that moment?
No. And all those people that I'm afraid of seeing, for the 1 second that they're going, wow, she looked good. In that next second, they're going to go, wow, she gained weight.
Well, the next second, they're not even thinking about you. So the narcissism thinks that everybody's thinking about you at all times. But the truth is they might go, wow, she looks great. Oh, no, they don't even give a shit. You're the one that's living in your self-centeredism. That's your survival mode talking. It's so important that I'm thin. Really? You suffer for them to have a moment, really, which is your moment of pride. For you to sit in pride that I'm special in that moment. Right? But yet your entire existence is really shitty. It's really shitty for that temporary moment of pride in that, look what I can do. You know, look what I can do. They have the moment of going, wow, look what she can do. They move on and you live in shit.
Yeah.
That's what you're not willing to get rid of. It's that moment. It's like the moment of pride. Is it really something to be proud of? If you tell yourself the truth, isn't that just creating a facade? It's a lie. You're lying to people because your life sucks, actually. That moment of pride is a lie. You aren't superior. You're actually living in hell for that moment of pride, right? You have to be willing to give up that moment. You have to be able to say, I don't want someone.
I wipe it out.
No, you actually reject it, even if I could get that moment of pride. I don't want it. I don't want what it's going to take. I don't want people to approve of me for something so false. It's not even true. It's a facade.
I don't want any of my energy going there.
No, and you don't, well, okay, that's you saying, I don't want the consequences of me wanting that. Of course you don't. We get that part. You don't want any of the consequences from being this self-righteous or that pride in that moment. You have to not want the pride. I don't want the pride. I don't want anybody's congratulations for being thin. I would rather them connect with the truth of who I am. I don't want to support something that in truth, if I told everybody the life I was living, they would be so sad for me. They'd rather me be fat if they knew the truth.
Absolutely.
So stop lying to people. That's the problem. You're afraid. Okay, you're going to re-listen to this, and you're going to re-listen to this part right here. We're at 33 minutes. Okay? And you're going to go, holy shit, she just told the truth. That is so true. You're afraid to be seen as a fraud. You have to come out and say, it's all been a lie. I'm really not thin and superior. It's like, I don't want people to know the truth. They're going to know that it's been a lie this whole time, that none of it has been true, that I'm really not special. They're going to find out the truth. It's going to feel extremely exposing. Like they're going to know that it wasn't even true. It was fake. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't do it. So that's what it feels like to surrender the pride. Okay? That people will find out the inflated idea of me within myself. People are going to find out that is actually very tiny and small inside, and I couldn't handle it. And I'm not special, and I don't have these gifts.
Even me listening to it sounds like they're going to be there. And why am I living for people?
Well, it's actually because you don't feel that you are innately, internally, soul-wise, lovable. And so you're seeking validation to feel that you have something of worth, right? And so, because we all are built in to want to feel that we are lovable. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, everything you're doing is understandable if you understand human nature, which is we're pack animals. We want to feel included. We want to feel that we are giving to our community and what we give is valued. Okay. You just don't think you have something innate and inherent to give. So you're using a facade. I give my thinness and my thinness gives back to me, right? And so you're attaching your survival as a pack animal to this condition of the way you look. And so even if you don't care about what other people think, in your eyes, you are not valuable. Your life is worthless. Your life, the life the body is providing you, is diminished if the body that's giving it to you doesn't meet the thin pride and ideals that will promote you in your tribe. So it can get confusing because a lot of people, as they go into this, they get to the point where they really don't care what anybody else thinks. It's their body. They're in it. It's really about what they think. I want to be thin. I don't care if anybody else is fat or thin. It's about me and my idea or my identity as a human being. My sense of value comes from me being thinner, right?
And if all my energy is thinking about that, then I'm not thinking about myself.
You're not really identifying. You're rejecting you and accepting a basically brainwashed ideal as who you are. So this is where, when you're brainwashed, you think it is your ideal. But is it really your ideal about thinness? Is that something? No, you've been brainwashed by a cultural standard, cultural ideal, because you don't feel intrinsically valuable. If you don't feel lovable, you're going to seek what others tell you is lovable.
Okay, so I can't play that game, like society game, anymore. I failed. I'm a fraud. I can't do the diet. No, I cannot. I physically cannot. I can walk into the local Tim Horton or Starbucks and somebody can look at my ass and say, well, she grew. Oh, well, I'm human. I can't go on the rat race.
Well, you have to ask yourself, under what you've experienced and what you've lived in, is it forgivable that you are letting it all go?
Yeah.
I know.
So, definitely.
Well, consider the suffering you've been. Should you have to suffer because it's really important that you're thin? Is it really that important that you should live in that state of mind? Is it really that important that people should live in that state of mind to make sure they stay thin and healthy?
But you know what I hate more than anything? I hate that I was trying to keep up this facade. Like, so trying.
I'm listening to you. I got to let the dog out. Keep on talking.
That I attached it to happiness, that I'm actually not happy because I'm not learning about me. I'm not.
No, it's not real. It's fake. It's like not even a real happiness. That's what that whole concept teaches. Don't you agree? When you're thin, you will be lovable and respected, and people will think you're fabulous. And that's what you need to feel safe and real inside, to really get to know yourself. You have to be in a thin body and approved by others to feel lovable enough to then move on in your life and be real. That's the fantasy.
And I want to, you know what, it's funny because yesterday when I went out and I'm doing my thing and I didn't really care who saw me and how I looked, and it felt good, and I ran into somebody that used to work out at the same gym that I worked out at, and I saw her from a distance and I thought, oh my God, she's now in hell. She just got so thin, and so I thought, that poor girl is now, that was me. Like I looked at her.
Well, if she's proud about it, if she's attaching her worth to that, again, it's an attachment of worth. It's not real. It's not authentic. It's not coming from within. It's attached to the superficiality of the body. If she's doing that, she has to maintain it. Because it's not real. It requires all of the mechanisms to manage it. Because it isn't real.
I thought to myself, that was me.
Well, then sometimes what happens too is people attach worth to the mechanisms that they get thin by. I'm fit and healthy. So they not only attach to the thinness and want to promote the body image that they have, but they're actually promoting the means to the end. So they attach to, like you did, keto. Keto's so great. And you become prideful about the keto, prideful about the means to the end. Can you see how that's even worse? It's even worse.
But as you say that, I'm taking great pride right now in in recovery. I'm taking great pride.
Well, you might want to stop, because that could be why you're feeling like shit, because you're taking great pride intellectually and you don't really get it. If you're taking great pride in it,
like, I'm so excited. It's like I want everybody to take this happy.
That is okay.
Body image.
Taking pride in it means that you feel superior with it.
Oh, no. I mean,
okay. There's a big difference between that.
Right. So, I'm communicating. I feel so strong about it that I wish everybody could let go of this standard that we put on ourselves and let go of beating ourselves up trying to be this certain body image, or beating ourselves up and trying to follow this, like the freedom. I wish I could say to everybody, like anybody I care about, I want to say, don't do that to yourself. I don't want you to go down that road that I was.
Well, what's that going to do?
Save them a lot of pain.
No, it's not. You're going to try to convince someone that being thinner isn't what's going to make them happier?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
But just be who you are. Don't attach yourself to that. Let your body be who it wants to be. I'm so struggling to get there. It's like I want to, and listen to your, like I want to so bad be able to listen to, how do I know if I'm hungry or not?
Well, you can't get there. You're nowhere close. You're nowhere close to that yet. You're still figuring out how to accept my body. How are you going to accept the hunger scale and manage it if you're still not accepting your weight or your life with this body, and then projecting that into what you shouldn't be eating? It's impossible. It's impossible to do the hunger scale. Say what?
I said I told you I am.
You're doing what?
I'll accept my body for whatever it is.
In any circumstance. So there's two parts to it. It's not only accepting your weight as it is, but accepting your weight and how it's perceived by others in all situations. So the mother of the bride situation, going on a cruise, going to Mexico, sitting at the beach, being naked in front of your husband. Everybody, so not only that, but in public, and people thinking, oh my God, look at her. She's such a piece of shit. She couldn't handle. We knew it was fake. We knew she couldn't handle it. You know, it's in all of that vulnerable positions. So a lot of people say, I'm willing to gain weight, but you know what? They're hunkered down in their house and they're avoiding all situations, right?
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Is that really accepting your weight? No. Well, the first time they go out in public, they all of a sudden relapse. Oh, well, that's because they really didn't actually accept their weight. That's why they're staying hunkered down and avoiding reality, right? So this is what it means. It means unconditionally, not just accepting the body unconditionally, but unconditionally accepting it based on other people's opinion about it. So you've got to get to where you love and care for the body you're in without conditions, even if other people reject and deny it. So this is where I teach people, you have to accept the truth, even if it sucks. Okay? If you've heard any of my past YouTube videos, this is a common thing I say. You have to be okay with who you are, even if you suck, even if you actually are a piece of shit person. So, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Is that being perceived as an inferior person or a piece of shit person, you got to be okay with that. That's the worst case scenario. Go to the bottom. What if you are, in fact, inferior to someone else, to society, to whatever? What if the truth of it is that you really are a lacking human being? Go there. Can you still love the truth of whatever you are if it is in fact a lacking or inferior?
Yeah. I think my insides are really good. Like, yeah.
I think you need to contemplate that. You need to sit with that one for a little bit. You might not understand what I'm asking, but I don't even know.
Asking, like, my outside appearance doesn't define who I am inside.
Yeah, but what if the inside truth of who you are is inferior too? What if you really don't know what you're doing? What if you really are completely inferior? You are your microphone's
off or something.
Can you hear me right now?
Say it again? No. Say it again?
I said, what if you are an inferior internally? What if you are an inferior human being internally too?
Then I don't have a choice.
That's the answer. Yeah. See, now you're actually with me. It's the truth. It's the truth, whether you like it or not. Whether society says it should be something other than that, it's the truth. Yeah. So if you can't accept the truth from within, how are you going to be able to really love and appreciate the truth from within?
Because the truth from within is all that I have and can offer myself and anybody else.
You got it. So if you don't think that that's good enough, then it makes sense why you would need to reach outside of that to, let's say, manipulating your body, to going to these social structures to improve upon yourself, right? So the problem here is that you haven't accepted what's within you. You haven't gone there yet. You really don't appreciate what's in there. You do think it's inferior and you don't accept that. That's why you're overcompensating with social structures and parameters, such as thin supremacy, fit supremacy.
I think of that as my bathroom scale now, and I think of that as throwing it out the window, and I can let that go. I can open my front door and let all that out of me.
Yeah, well,
just saying that just now, the first thing that came over me was a sense of I need to let that go. That would give me even more freedom.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. There's no point to it. Why would you? What's the point? What's the point of body checking? Why? So I really want you to go into this thought here. Are you really? Is the body and is that really the truth? If you're thin and perfect and fit and attractive, is that really the truth of what's what's inside of you? Is the condition of the body?
To do with their condition of your body has nothing to do with what's inside you.
I know, right? That's amazing. Yeah. It's like irrelevant. So if you take this sense of life that is within you, that feels like you, there's a life that is like yours that you're experiencing. You're the only one experiencing that. You're the only one that's aware of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm only aware of that within me. And I'm not the creator of it. I didn't choose the sense and feel of that. It just exists, doesn't it? It's just it's an awareness that I exist, and there's an I'm experiencing in that existence.
Yeah.
Right? That feeling, the I that is experiencing this existence that you're aware of. Put that in a different body. Does it feel different?
It doesn't matter what body it's in.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. You could be a paraplegic. Does that mean you have half of that existence because you can't feel your legs and your waist?
No.
So put that feeling.
That's fine because you want to move your legs and you can't.
Yeah, but does that physicality impact the awareness or the existence that you feel is that I am existing? There's an I to that existence. Is it different for someone who is a paraplegic?
No.
So their existence, is it really limited?
No.
Not at all. It's an illusion to think that because they can't move their legs that they have a lesser existence. That they should feel loss. Right? There's still infinite possibilities in that existence that is right in front of them and all around them. Right? So if you're in a morbidly obese body, let's put it in, what does that existence feel like in a morbidly obese body?
The same.
Yeah, the physicality feels different. There's weight, there's heaviness, there's effort, right? You know what effort feels like. It's no different than the effort on running on a treadmill really hard. It's the same physical effort. It just doesn't take as much to move a bigger body. It's like weightlifting. Okay? But that life existence is no different. It is identical. It's the same. So the actual conditions of the body, is it taking away that existence And the body's actually providing you consciousness of that existence. That's all it's doing, is giving you a conscious awareness of there's an existence that I am experiencing, and it is coming from this sense of me, right? I exist. I'm conscious. I am alive. There's a life here, right?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so what does that feel like? What does that feel like to you? For me, it felt like that existence feels loving and sweet and kind, and it wants to play and love, and it wants to just experience this sense of existence that I'm experiencing, that is the sense of me, just wants to have fun. I want to play. I want to be creative. I want to explore.
My existence, I just want to be peaceful, and I want to enjoy, and I want to be happy, and I want to socialize more.
You want to play. That would be playing, right? Like, I want to get to know
more things that I like doing that I had suppressed doing because I created myself to be somewhat of an introvert, and I've distanced myself from society and family and friends to protect the outside of my being.
Yeah, to protect the pride that you got out of it. It's the pride. Keep in mind, It's not the body, it's the pride you got from it.
I would say no to functions. I would say no to lunches. I would say no to doing different things, so then I didn't have to worry about micromanaging anything. So I'm not enjoying. I'm not being me.
No, you're not. You're not actually existing.
Right.
Your existence, or that life, is actually being completely focused in on maintaining the body, as if the body is what provides you that life.
Yeah, and I want my life. I choose life.
So then, so when it comes to how much fat you have and how big you get,
I don't care.
Right? You see how it's like, that is such a, I don't care. Because that doesn't take away from my will to navigate the life I'm currently experiencing. The body is providing me an experience. It's a conduit to this awareness. I'm aware I'm here, and I'm aware that there's an existence here that I'm experiencing. So the existence that you want to experience here sounds peaceful, like joy. You want to connect with people. Does that sound like something that, so you're the one who's experiencing that. Is that good enough for you in this lifetime?
Yeah.
So what if someone says that's not good enough? We don't like you. Not only that's not good enough. You're inferior. You have to look a certain way. You have to be smarter. You need to be a harder worker. You need to work with that existence. You need to go to church with that existence. You need to dedicate yourself to proving yourself. You need to prove that your life is worth it here.
I don't feel like I have to prove to anybody but myself.
Well, how does anybody know? I want you to think of it this way. How does anybody, to include me, know what you should be doing and what's right for you with the life you're experiencing?
Nobody does know.
I know. So when it comes down to it, if someone thinks they know and they're criticizing you, what does that tell you about them?
They don't know me.
They don't know themselves.
My life.
They don't know themselves. They're not aware of that sense of life from within them. They're aware of the ideas of what they think life is. That's outside of that. The whole concept of you have to be this and you have to do that comes from outside of the life source within you. It's like saying my life comes from outside. My life existence comes from being thinner. Life's existence comes from being smarter. It's outside of me. It doesn't come from within. It's not even here. It's there, and I have to go get it. Then my life will be worth living. When in reality, you're in a life, it is worth living, and you're in it whether you like it or not. It's just a matter of accepting that source of life that you are experiencing, that feels like my awareness, right? What else do you need? Do you really have to be smarter? Do you really need to improve who you are? Does that need to improve inside you?
No.
Is this convincing you, or are you, I want to know.
I feel that I even have to be convinced of that. I feel like I don't, I feel like, yeah, I'm not, nobody has to convince, everything you're saying to me right now, I don't have to be convinced of. It's everything I thoroughly, truly believe from inside. So you're saying these things and I'm thinking, yeah, I don't need to be smarter for that person, and I don't need to feel more educated for this, or I don't need to feel that I need to do this, this, and this to be okay with that. I'm okay. Like, yeah, I'm okay with just being me.
Okay. I've
had friends or friends and family that are like, oh my God, I want to travel here and I want to go there and let's go here. And honestly, the me inside of me has zilcho desire to ever travel. It's just not me. You can't put that in me and make me me.
No, and if they want to travel, let's just go there. That's what they should do. That's what they should do.
Exactly. But for years, I lived up to the thing where I'd be like, oh yeah, that'd be really cool. And now I'm okay with saying, well, that's great. I hope you have a great time. That's not me. If somebody said to me, you have 3 days to live, and people are like, I want to travel the world and I would want to go here and I want to do this. I don't want to do any of those things. And I realize I'm okay. It's okay that I don't want to do those things. It's okay that I would rather stay home and watch TV. Like, that is truly who I am. It's okay that I don't like big groups of people, that I like, 5 or 6 people. Like, that's okay. I don't need to be somebody that I'm not.
No, and other people. So when we talk about other people who are seeking thinness, is that okay that they are seeking that sense of alive through thinness? Is that okay that they're doing that with that?
If it works for them, then it's okay.
You got it. Do you see what I mean by do you really think you are going to convince other people to not want to be thin? And I was like, yeah, no. Sometimes they have to chase the mirage. They have to chase it and figure it out.
But maybe in their inside, maybe that's going to make them happy.
Sure, and they should figure that one out. Yeah, maybe you got it.
For me, that just didn't work. For me, that is, to me, that is hell. That's not me being genuine. That's not me even I'm not living my life.
Correct.
That's me living in a cage.
Correct. And it brought you pride, and that came at a cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so maybe they don't know that yet. Maybe they don't know that, and maybe that's what they need to do to evolve as humans. Just like you're evolving as a human right now. You're evolving in your sense of beingness, right?
Yeah.
So you could say, I really needed to go through that to get here. So it was very valuable to chase thinness. I needed to be there. That was important. Because it really allowed me to...
That time in my life to come to where I am now.
Correct. So should we be sitting here judging everybody who's trying to lose weight?
No.
Exactly. It's understandable. They truly believe that life exists in a thinner body. They don't. That's what they believe. And you know what? If someone is going to believe that, they should figure it out. That's what they want to do with this sense of life source. That's what they should do. Because in reality, you could say that it's honorable that they're chasing freedom. The sad thing is that they just don't know that you don't have to chase it. It exists in that awareness of life that you're in. It already exists. The diet industry, the health industry don't own it. They don't own it. They don't have a patent on it. They as much as they're going to try to sell it to you and you pay them for it, the truth is you don't have to be thin to experience what that is. It doesn't matter what body you're in. If you're conscious, if you're in a body that is conscious, that awareness is there. That infinite space of life exists. The conditions of the body, as long as it is conscious, it's irrelevant.
Very true. 100%.
Yeah, so do you need to be afraid of being bloated?
No.
If you don't want if you don't want to be bloated, what's going to happen?
I don't want to be bloated. What's going to happen? I'm going to start listening to my body.
No. Now, obviously, if you ate over and over ate, you could see that you better accept being bloated. But let's just imagine you're bloated because it's a full moon, because you're going to start your period, because of whatever reason, right?
Menopause.
Well, yeah. And if you don't want that, if you're criticizing that, now what happens to this life? What happens to your awareness?
I'm rejected.
Yeah. What happens to the freedom?
Oh, I don't have freedom then.
Yeah, you are now fixated on making sure the body's better and what you can accept and tolerate, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not. If it's going to wake up and be bloated one day, then that day I'm going to feel a little more bloated than the day before or the day after.
Yeah, so there's a balance. I do want to say there's a balance. I have like sciatica on my left side. I have a bulging disc, a herniated disc, and I do yoga. But I actually am accepting of this pain. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel like it's limiting for me. It is something that I feel, I'm experiencing with the body. And I'm doing what I can to make it better or to prevent these feelings. But it is not a limitation in any way. I could accept it. I could accept if my leg needs to get cut off. That doesn't limit me. It doesn't do anything to this awareness. It doesn't do anything to the life source that I have and the creativity, what I can do with a life without a leg. So to me, it's all relative, right? The only thing that really is impairing to me is nausea. Nausea is completely, it's like you have no choices, right? You have to sit down and you know what? You have to accept that too, because that's part of being in a body.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So you actually go into.
It's different to you than the other day? Does my mind seem at a different place?
It's changed in the matter of this hour. I'm curious as to if it sticks. I don't care if it does or it doesn't, because the truth of it will either set you free or it will confuse you and make you feel vulnerable and scared, right? But I think a lot of times it comes when people get it, it's like this. It's like snap. It isn't this, it takes time. No, it is a moment and you're like, oh my God, I'm so done. I don't care. This is so irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is if it's conscious. If the body is conscious, infinite space of experience I can exist in.
So true.
So once you're there, tell me what if you're hungry and pizza is for dinner, what does that matter?
But I wasn't even hungry. We had everybody here in order.
Okay, that was before this conversation. So let's talk about it now that we're having this conversation.
Now I'm hungry and pizza's there. I'd go get a piece of pizza and would eat, and hopefully my body would tell me when I'm full. So I honestly, I'm walking into something I've never experienced before.
Yeah, because you've always been in control, managing it, fearful of what you don't want from the body, micromanaging the pizza, and then feeling like a bucket, and then entitling yourself to it, over-consuming willfully, by choice, and then getting pissed off that you're bloated the next morning. That's what you've been doing up until this point.
Yes.
So you need to be able to go in there and go, you know what? I will do whatever the body says. And if it says to eat 3 pieces, I'm going to eat fucking 3 pieces. But I'm not going to entitle myself to more than that or feel bad about it. If it only says I need to have a piece, I'll eat half a piece. That's good enough. At least I get the pizza. Why does food have to be central?
Were you afraid to trust your body?
No, because I accepted morbid obesity ahead of time. Because I had this awareness ahead of time. Remember, I became very clearly aware the moment I realized the essence of the life that I had didn't change when I was in a morbid obese body. It did not change. It was the same life. The physicality of the body was not relevant.
I'm actually excited to see how I start listening to my body, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, what you need to really focus in on right now is contemplating, who am I? And is it really different than someone else? Are you really different?
Well, I think everybody's different.
No, not at all. You see, that's an illusion right there.
Every personality is different.
Yeah, but really not, because we're human. It's like saying every dog is different. Sure, it's a different, but it's all the same.
We're all the same.
Totally. And so there's no reason to separate or classify or be they're different. No, we're all pretty much the same. We're all driven for the same things. We all want pleasure. We all want peace. We all want love. We all want, that's all the same. It's just what we believe will bring it to us. That's the only difference. Once someone is living from the essence of the soul, which we can't define, we're all the goddamn same.
Yeah.
We're all the same. So there's no reason to even separate yourself from people. It's the same sense of love and fun. It's just a matter of what you project it through. They project it through travel. You project it into TV. It's the same thing. I project it into snuggling with my dog. Same thing. We're all the same. And that's the beauty of it. So then you realize that you can, if you love what's within you, you know that that's within everybody, and you now can love people unconditionally because you can connect with them as a human being, because we're all the goddamn same. So what I want you to focus on is not the hunger scale. That's going to come real natural. You need to focus in on who you really are and what this is about. Like, what is this? Is it lovable? Is this essence within me that I didn't create, I didn't make, that I'm just experiencing? Is it lovable? Is it worthy of being here? You know, when you said, I feel peace, I feel kindness, is that worthy of being here? Is that something that is absolutely worthy of sharing with others?
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's good enough for you, and that has to be good enough, if that's lovable enough, even if no one appreciates it and wants it, is it still good enough? So you could be alone for the rest of your life on the side of a mountain, right?
Don't you have to think about it? Good enough for me.
Right? Because at least you have freedom to express it with the trees or the animals. You know, if someone doesn't appreciate that, that's not your problem.
Good enough for me.
So if that's good enough for you, all of the social structures and parameters that are out there, do they need to be taken so serious?
No.
Nuh-uh. You can still live in it. You can still live in it, but it doesn't really change. Correct.
It matters nothing.
Correct. So you can still play. You can still put clothes on. You can still put makeup on. Even if you're morbidly obese, you can still do all that stuff. You can still go to the park and watch people and just be present and really, really connect with everybody. The children at the park, the homeless people at the park, you know, the couple making out over there you can connect with. You can connect with the anorexic who's running for hours at the park. Yeah. They all have an essence of being that is worthy of being here. Right? So you just go into that lovingness that you have lacked for so long, but have wanted, you know. That's your assignment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.